You're listening to Kate of Gaia on Critical Mass Radio. The game is up. Now, it's our turn. You're listening to Santos Bonacci live on Syncretism, here on criticalmassradio.co.uk. As above and so below is the holy science you need to know, astrotheology, because now it's our turn.
Good evening, welcome to Outside the Box here on criticalmassradio.co.uk, and also welcome to Syncretism. As it has been coinciding with everything, it only is fitting. And also, welcome to the last show of the Anno Domini calendar year of 2013 as we enter a happy new reality. Right, let's get off the year thing and just start living this real-IT, the royalty, right? There you go. So happy new reality, Santo. I know you've already crossed that threshold, and onwards and upwards. So here's proof that time doesn't exist. What year is it with you?
Supposedly 2014 anal domination.
Yeah, and it's 2013 domination here. So what year is it? Well, we can't really be sure, right? So not much. There's a full 24 hours away from the now. Talk about being lost in time, huh?
Yeah.
So it's just this is a good way to show people the realities of what time really is. And does it exist? No. It's a construct of the mind. It is something that has been placed there. Now, that's on the bad side of things to get you out of the now, but on the good side, because everything has to have good, it also gives us a gauge, and a very accurate one, as to our astrology signs and our game plans. So good and evil all in one. So yeah, I'm kind of not really sure where I want to go tonight. I wanted to revisit the whole idea of betrayal as it was laid out with the Judas story, because I think it's very, very pertinent, and a couple of new little epiphanies regarding that whole thing. So I think we'll go off in that direction with me anyway. So what's on your mind?
Yeah, look, I've got plenty of ideas of how how we can really make politicians, lawyers, and such like things obsolete in the minds of our brothers who still haven't got it yet. That's all I'm concerned with, because we've got it. There's no doubt about that. There's no other element of freedom that you need once you know who you are, and that's what we're teaching on this platform. Everybody that comes here, really, all the great speakers that we have, we're so lucky. We're so blessed here. This is absolutely the table, and but we've got it, but somehow you still see things like I don't know who the politician was. It was someone that's close to Hillary Clinton, I think. But anyway, they're trying to shove this this other fiction of the Obamacare thing down people's throats, and if you don't pay, you're going to jail, because we're all trying to, pitch in here, and we're not trying to, escape our responsibilities. So we all must have our cover. All of this is fictional bullshit. But you see, we've got these idiots have actually got the attention of other idiots. And that's what Santos Bonacci is here for now. I'm referring to myself in the third person because, I want to give the knowledge forms that we are creating much, much more credit than what we, probably haven't given it yet. But we are creating the new paradigm. Just what gets me... because I get irritated, that's my weakness over here, thank you very much, is the fact that there are still idiots that have got the attention of other idiots. And it's because of these idiots, politicians and people who listen to them because they think they don't understand that they are obsolete. Politicians are obsolete. These are agents of patriarchy running along the corridors of the roads to defer the bloodshed for Rome as much as possible. Anyone who dons a uniform, that's it. You are already, by association, you're a criminal. That's evidence. These should be filmed and posted on Facebook pages showing postmen coming to the door, criminals. It's ignorance, yes, but they're doing something that is fraudulent. Policemen, uniforms, all they're doing is they're perpetrating and perpetuating the Inquisition. When I was in Holland, in Amsterdam, I went to the Inquisition Museum. That was interesting because, as you know, I did my studies, as you know.
Yeah, maybe one.
And you know, I learnt about the Inquisition, especially from the Jehovah's Witness point of view. You see, they'll clearly tell you that the Catholic Church are condemned in God's sight because they're evil and pedophilia and Inquisitions and Crusades. Oh yeah, Jehovah's Witnesses condemn them perfectly. Oh yeah, I mean, I haven't changed my spiel. I have been preaching this condemnation of the Vatican and the Catholic Church all through my teenage years, right up till today, the 1st of January 2014 over here in Australia. And I haven't changed my tune because they're all the little whore Protestant corporate churches, they're all telling you that the mother whore is a whore. And they, by association, going along with this game of people trafficking, belong to the whole system. So, you know, that's what I'm here for, Kate. I'm just cooking up ways to make them obsolete in the minds of, well, our slower brothers, put it that way.
Yeah, and it gets right back to the full circle of betrayal. And one of the ironic parts of the betrayal is, you know, I was hanging out with Sheila and Arthur and Angus and Ron, with Mike as well, last night. And, you know, we conveyed a lot of different little stories together. And one of the things that stood out was one that was shared where a certain OPP officer had, you know, effectively said, well, they know that there's things that aren't quite right, but, you know, I've you know, I've got a family to feed, and I still have a job to do, and you know, on the compassionate side, absolutely, I get it. On the really compassionate side, I hand it right back to them because, you know, by their actions, they're harming not only the people that they're harming, but they're harming themselves spiritually. It's a spiritual suicide, and more importantly, their own family. And what they fail to realize is that by following their masters. And they all have masters. If you wear a uniform, you have a master. You get a corporate paycheck. They are actually doing it to themselves and their own family. You know, so it's kind of oxymoronic. And I do like to remind all uniforms that are listening. And I know there's guys tuned in here and girls, whatever, that work for various alphabet gangs. I just want to remind you that your uniform and your mission that you're doing is you're betraying yourself, your family, and the rest of humanity. These are crimes against humanity. And the Nuremberg principles, you may want to read through those because the same excuse was used by many thousands that were hanged, some by piano wire and some by, you know, a little more gentle means of rope. Because they were just following orders, just doing their job. That's not an excuse. If anything, that is all the more reason why they had to go through what they had to go through as far as you know, paying for the crimes. You know, if you're not part of the solution, you are the problem. You're not part of the problem. You are the problem. You see, because a solution, as soon as a problem appears, so does the solution. You have to choose which one you want to be, and it is that black and white. There is no gray area on this one. And one of the things that hit me today, you know me, I like to put things completely in the mirror, and I look back at all the you know, the betrayals that I have experienced in my own crucifixion, and also the betrayals that I'm responsible for as well. Over the span of my life. And one of the things that I came to terms with, and it was quite a beautiful moment, was those, and it goes back to a presentation that Bill Donahue did when he was talking about Judas betraying Jesus in the allegory. And he chose Judas because Judas was the only one he could trust to do this. So isn't it funny that and we know what the Judas is. The Judas is both the greatest good and the perceived greatest evil, right? The betrayer. But let's have a look at it from a mirror perspective. Because Jesus trusted this guy so much, he was the only one he could trust to betray him. And this is not an easy concept to get across. I'm going to do my best because I think when people ponder this long enough, they'll get it, and it's quite a revelation. The ones that we trust the most are always, it seems, to be the ones that betray us the most. Let's have a look at our system. The now defunct politicians and police and judges and lawyers, all the ones that we were raised to trust as looking out for our better interests, are the ones that have betrayed us the most for their own self-serving greeds. And in that process, it woke us up, and it made us more aware of our own fallibilities, our own pitfalls. So in the process of uncovering the betrayals that we experience from others, we get to forge ourselves in those fires, So, sorry, I get a beat going off here, and it's totally derailing me. But anyway, it's not a neat concept to get across. But with me, I look at the ones that have betrayed me the most, and they are all the ones, and I'm talking family, friends, relatives, you name it. The ones that I trust most had to be the ones to betray me the most to give me the perspective that I have now. So how can I not have anything but gratitude in that regard? And this also, in the mirror, alleviates the concept of guilt in terms of those that I and others, you, everybody, that we have betrayed that trust with. And we've all done it. Let he who has not sinned cast the first stone. So the thing with me is I like to cast them at myself first, just to make sure that I've got a new perspective on it. There's no judgment. And the things that I speak of are the things that I have experienced. And if I ever sound like I'm being derogatory, it's only because I was there. I have the perspective of being that idiot at one point. So this is my way of measuring how far up the ladder I've climbed and how much I still have to climb. So, and it's an ongoing journey that we have here too. And I've said this before, that the instant you think you've won, you've lost, because this is not a competition. This is a journey. And the instant you think you are free is the instant you are a slave. This is really an issue of constant vigilance, a constant willingness to pay attention to what's going on around you, and it's constant growth. When we're dealing in an infinite universe, how can anyone even think of claiming to have won something? You might have achieved something to get to a new level, but really the illusion of win and lose is lost in that. So it's more an issue of having a look at the degrees at which I climb and as I observe others climbing on their ladders to get to that higher level of consciousness, Just my thoughts on it.
Yeah, well, look, clearly the system, the Babylonian system, Baba, Papa, papacy system, which is all hierarchy, what it does is it makes use of the left, the sinister hemisphere of the cerebrum, because that's where you can name people. Names are in the left, right? That's why their sinners are sinners, because they go around with this name, well, I'm a person now. Oh, boy, whew, I'm important. I've got a mister in front of my name now, and I've got a title. Titles were granted by, Babylon. That's where titles come from. Anyone who wants a title, Sir Cliff Richard, that means nothing. He's just a pedophile, right? We busted that one. But the right brain is where you are. That's Aries. I am. So you can never ever take that away from you. So hence our two natures are very, very evident in the two hemispheres of the brain: the man left brain and the God right brain. And we go around as a man and as a God. And sometimes we're arguing and reasoning in the left brain as a man. Oh, I'm this man. I've got a name. Yes, Santos Bonacci. I'm going to court. I'm going to defend that man's ass. And so we are being punished for this. This is sinning. This means staying in the left, having names, all this bullshit, calendars. You mentioned the calendar at the start. Yeah, it is just ridiculous that I'm in 2014 and you're still in 2013, right? Because of GMT. So what shows you is, see, time is a construct, or the calendar is a construct that takes us out of the right brain, because in the right hemisphere we know it's just now. There's no such thing as I'm in 214 and you're in 213. This is something that has been indoctrinated in us. That's education. It's in the left brain. And so masters of the left brain are orchestrating the left brain only, the 10%. And everybody's buying into it. Yes, I want a piece of that. I want some stocks on that market. So I can own shit. That's going to be interesting on the day I die. All that shit that I own hanging around everywhere. And so, you see, really, it's, if you want to be in the left brain male world of Mars, the left hemisphere, and you want to do all these martial things and maritime things, as Rome is doing, and serving it up to us real nice. People are begging for it, actually. The barbarians didn't invade Rome to stop Rome. They wanted in on Rome. Fucking idiots. That's why the Vandals and the Goths all freaking failed. They were absorbed by Rome. They wanted to be Roman. They wanted Roman titles. Oh, I want to be a king. What do you got? Consuls. I want one of those. And so they were begging Rome to have titles. And basically, Rome has captured the left brain of the lower brain, the man brain of men and women. And they're basically just playing out everything according to the pedophiles who run the system, like Orsini, Farnese, Borgia, Guelph, all the criminals. We know who they are. They're on camera. We've got plenty of evidence of their crimes. We've witnessed them. World War I, World War II. They're going to jail. They're going straight to jail. And nothing to do with, of course, it's got nothing to do with anything personal. It has to do with, the justice that rides above this left brain name, calendar, titles, commerce, and all of that stuff that is done in the name of the king and the monarch and monotheism and all of these aberrations. And they have stolen our true birthright, which is who we are on the right. That's the promised land. And the moment we learn to balance this man experience, this Adam Kadmon experience in the microcosm that we're having, with the God emanation that we are happening in the macrocosm. And what we will do then is make the mesocosm pretty much obsolete. The mesocosm of Rome's mesocosm, that is. They've created a system of God, all that Catholic bullshit, politics, all the politics and government, government branch and bullshit like that. So they've created this false God, a mesocosm, and it's a demon. It's basically a demon based on the two calendars, Anno Mundi and Anno Domini, and they're obsolete.
Oh, yeah, they've been obsolete for a long time. And see, one of the things that I've been noticing lately is it's actually getting more difficult for me to talk versus write, to codify ideas, And listening to what you're saying, the countless things that just pass through my mind with regards to... Oops, I got the dog barking in the background. And all the things that you're speaking of, you see all these pieces coming together. It's like when you said barbarians, you've got... There's one of the demons, Barbar, right? And, of course, the Bar Association, as we know, is... Well, you've covered it with rabbi or... being in the mirror, And of course, there's half the name of another demon, Barbar. I spent a few days just going through the list of demons that are involved in these these are thought forms, and the list is long. It really is. So these are the demons that we have to purge from ourselves. They're as real as we make them, and they are as removed from consciousness as we remove them. Sorry, a lot of activity going on around here right now, so I'm gonna get you talking for a second and get myself situated where it's a bit quieter.
Yeah. No worries at all. The reason why they're obsolete is because all of that stuff belongs to a past age. You see, what all the conventional academics and idiot left-brainers out there in the world are vomiting from their mouths is that, we don't know when Aquarius... We believe that on the ecliptic, Pisces are still... they're all arguing about when Aquarius is because they know that Aquarius is an age of knowing, which makes governments obsolete, because Pisces is the age of doubting. And so you need Big Brother to help you along. We don't need that anymore, and it is obsolete by the return of the Christ. It was prophesied. It's in Humpty Dumpty. It's in Little Red Riding Hood. The nursery rhymes are reminding us. Everything is that Christ would return. Aquarius and Leo. It's opposite. The heart chakra and the crown chakra, because Kronos is the ruler of Aquarius. So we're in the kingdom of Kronos. But this time it's not. Kronos is capturing us in time. He is releasing us from time. That's why he's got the scythe. The grim reaper is releasing you of your bodily duties, and he says goodbye. You're off. That's Saturn's job. No other. Jupiter cannot do this. Even though St. Peter is waiting at the pearly gates, it's not him that lets you in. It's Saturn. Absolutely, clearly, distinctly, it is Saturn.
Yeah, and
Uranus.
Yeah, I was going to say, you say the Grim Reaper, let's get phonics on it. It means equal and opposite, right? People can see grim as being, something bad, but how about the Grime Reaper, getting rid of the garbage and the scum off our reality, So it depends on how you look at it, right?
Yeah, look, with astrology, the way I just explained the transition going backwards along the precessional ecliptic, you can understand that what we're dealing with is, as the sun goes backward along the ecliptic and brings us through different signs and different elements, we are conditioning that particular element. So we're now in air, Aquarian air. That's mental. That's spiritus, pneuma, the Holy Spirit. Yeah, that's what the urn of Saturn and Uranus is pouring down on us. So what we've got is we've got a raising of the vibration. Saturn's vibration is higher than Jupiter's in the ascending cycle, not the descending. In the descending, Jupiter kicks Saturn's butt. He castrates him. Right? And then Jupiter boasts that I am the one that divides souls in two, so that forevermore each soul will be looking for their lost other half. And this is the job of Jupiter. Jupiter's rays do that when on the Nephilim cycle, when we're coming down into incarnation. But on the Elohim cycle, when we're on the way back up, Jupiter's the second last, Saturn is the last, the seventh, the set concept. So if you want to be with him, concept, that's Saturn. And so Aquarius has a higher ray of light than Pisces, simply by being on the ecliptic and by being that element that it is. And so if you go back through the signs of the zodiac. We are now in Aquarius under the rulership of the grandfather Uranus, the father Saturn, and his son. Well, Jupiter was the son of Saturn. So there's the whole dynasty there: Uranus, Saturn, and Jupiter, and they are all contained in the two signs of Pisces and Aquarius. But going backwards from Aquarius, you go back to Pisces, then Aries, then Taurus, Gemini, all the way back to Leo. You go back to the golden age, because you see, look at the elements. Right. Uranus is uranium. Saturn is lead. Right? Now, you're going to think, oh, that's pretty solid. How are you going to ascend with lead? Well, let's go back to that. Jupiter is tin in the Piscean age, so we went through the tin vibration. And then before that was the iron of Mars in Aries. That was around about the time, of Rome and Greece and Persia, and all of those world empires, all of them in the Aryan period of iron. Then before that, now if you're pretty astute already, you will have noticed that going backwards, we are actually going backwards through the 7 chakras back to the age of Leo. We're actually, because Saturn's the crown chakra, Jupiter's the pineal, Mars is the throat chakra, and what we're going to do is we're going to go down the 7 spheres. The basically the Ptolemaic 7 spheres. Saturn's at the top due to his the slowest orbit of the visible planets, and the moon is down at the bottom. So this is why the cosmology of Ptolemy is correct. It's 100% correct. It's pure and correct and uncorrupted and undefiled, and it's only the left-brainers who condemn it, who believe that Copernicus debunked this by placing the sun in the middle. Oh, no. The order of the planets goes by the order of their pulse. And their pulse is an orbit. So the sun is always in the middle. Saturn's at the top. So you've got Saturn at the top, the 7th heaven, then Jupiter below that, then Mars, then the sun, then Venus, then Mercury, then the moon. If you don't get this order, you will forever, this is a master key of the whole system. You've got to understand the Ptolemaic heavenly hierarchy and the structure. And so before the Aryan age, there was Taurus, and that's Venus. So, and then before that was Gemini, which is Mercury, and then before that was Cancer, the moon, and before that was Leo, the sun. So Leo is ruled by the sun. That's gold. That's the golden age. Then we went into Cancer. That's silver, the moon, the silver age. Then came Gemini. That's quicksilver. Pretty akin to, silver, but, well, it's still silver. Then you come to the Taurian age, and that's Venus, the copper. And so you can see how Nebuchadnezzar's image of the golden head, and then the silver arms, and then the bronze, and then the iron feet, which were to represent Rome. Well, this is all the eras, and notice how era is spelled E-R-A. That's Ra, a period of Ra. So eras are periods of Ra time. It's all about Ra. And so what happens is we have gone from the heart in Leo, just as you would in Egypt along the Nile when you start at Heliopolis in the Delta, and you go all the way to Karnak, which is the crown chakra. Karnak, crown chakra. It's the head. Karnak and Thebes means the head. That's what Thebes means, the head. Of course it is. It's all devoted to the ram, the cerebram, Amun-Ra. There's the ram all over the place, the avenue of rams, the Sphinx, Ramses, the colonnade of Ramses. It's all about Rams. And so you go from the heart in the Delta and you go all the way up the Nile, and this was all telling the story of when we were once in the Golden Age in Leo, and then we followed the ecliptic down through to the Iron Age of Mars, which is the Aryan period of 2,000 years ago. So we've gone through the iron, we've done the hard times. Now it's all of those, that iron-fisted rule of martial Rome is over. It well and truly is over, because it was over in the Jupiterian period. They just got another lease on their empire because they tapped into the Jupiterian capitalism of the Piscean Age. That's the only reason why Rome survived. Rome was not ever sacked and destroyed. That's what Rome teaches you in the history books. Oh, and Rome was sacked by, 410, Alaric the Goth, and then Attila the Hun in freaking 500 and something. No. They just went down to Rome because they said, hey, this is great shit you got down here, this capitalism. We want in. And they did. And everybody wanted in. Everybody signed up. And Rome's just sitting back, signing people up. Everyone's sinning. And it's all part of the left brain game, this sinister, sinful activity that the bar are up to. And these criminals are absolutely living on borrowed time. Their game is up. They are obsolete. The law has returned to the land. We don't need legalities. All that legal paper bullshitty pooey stuff that you can wipe your bum on, summonses and all of that rubbish, doesn't make sense anymore. Sorry. You are now obsolete. I'm just going to press the button. Mr. Burns, when he didn't like anyone that interfered with his agenda, he just pressed the button on his desk, and his enemy was sucked down this tube and gone forever. That's what we've got. We've got that button in our hands. And, lawyers, you are now obsolete. You look like dipshits, really. And besides, your courts are recording all your crimes, so you are going to jail. Please continue.
Yeah, we can put them. Well, this is the game of putting them out of work anyway, because with private prosecution, where I see that we drop the ball is we let the public system take over for us to speak as public prosecutors. When I read out the private prosecution definition the description of it in Wikipedia the other day, it's private prosecution is rare because it's just that people go immediately to the system instead of taking care of their own business. And this is the conditioning of a nanny state, where something's wrong and the first thing you hear out of someone's stupid face is, I'm going to get my lawyer, and shut up. You need someone to fight your fights for you, and well, you're going to pay for it. Both sides are going to pay for it. You want to bring others in to fight your battles for you and give up your power, then feel free to be fleeced. We kind of went on the other side of the Argonaut quest with Jason, looking for the golden fleece, and that's the one thing that can heal all things. It's about taking back our responsibility. A little something, I like to keep illustrating the magic of this place where people can start looking at it from a slightly more comical perspective. I was talking about Marvin the Martian the other night. Remember you were talking about the degrees of separation from Mars and Venus, and referred to it as Marvin or Marven?
Yep.
Okay. So isn't it interesting that the illustrious story of Mars and Venus and their love story, their relationship, not many people really know about that, but all the great masters have painted it, just Google it, Mars and Venus. and you'll see them as the great lovers. And of course, where's Earth? Well, Earth came between Mars and Venus. So it's almost like a third-party interloping. So I can see the fractals happening in terms of the legal, where everything that we are doing here, that we think we're doing legally, like, for example, we talked about mortgages, and that and loans and stuff like that, where anyone that signs on these things is actually a third-party interloper after the fact, because they're just guaranteeing the loan. They're the tenant, right? And the best allegory I can use for that is, imagine renting an apartment, and the building that you're renting an apartment in gets sold, and the new owner decides to kick everybody out because they can, right? And that's effectively what's happened with single homes, where you have someone who thinks they own a house and they're making mortgage payments, but they're only the tenant. They're actually guaranteeing the loan for the deadbeat debtor called bank manager, the living individual that they went into contract with, that we, with our energy, guaranteed them the money. So it's like this. A bank manager goes to their boss and says, listen, I've got someone that's going to guarantee a loan to buy this house. I'm going to put the house up as collateral, and I've got this idiot that's going to guarantee a loan with no consideration on my part. Are you in? And by the way, if anything goes wrong, you can just grab the house anyway, because it's the consideration. And we go right into it, hook, line, and sinker. But it was very well hidden, very, very well covered. So let's get back to Marvin the Martian. But look at the story in the cartoon. What was Marvin the Martian's quest? He only had one quest. He would say to Daffy Duck, Daffy was, or Porky Pig, or whoever he was dealing with at the time, and he always had the same story, that he wanted to obliterate Earth because it obstructs his view of Venus. And what was the little mascot that went along with him? K9, the dog. And there's the Ka9, or the spirit consciousness, walking around behind Marvin. So these little correlations and coincidences that have been so, in terms of plain sight, so well hidden until we had the eyes to see it and started to connect all these coincidences together. So I thought that was a rather interesting little aside, of other things that make you go, is that funny or what? So I just want.
Yeah, well, what you need now is the astrotheological version of everything you just said, and
hit me with it. Comes. Here it comes.
Yeah, Mars and Venus. Yes, that's exactly correct. They are separated by the Earth. Mars is above, Venus is below. Mars is maritime, the waters above. Venus is maritime, the waters below. And this is how God created the heavens and the earth. You see, Mars. When you look at the Ptolemaic hierarchy of the elements or the planets in the solar system, the 7, you will see that the sun is in the middle, always, because really that's where the Earth is. It's telling you that the Earth is in the middle because the Earth's cycle is, well, we're on the Earth, right? So we're not on Mars, we're on the Earth. So we are connected directly with our solar system prime, the sun. Hence, our cycle must go in the middle. It's in the middle because that's why the sun is there, because it's telling you that it's the Earth, really. It's the 1 year cycle in the middle. The 1 year cycle is the middle that divides the three supernal planets, or the ones that are above the heart chakra, because we're talking now. When we're talking about the sun being in the middle, we're talking about the heart chakra. It's in the middle. It's the middle chakra. And that's where the sun is, and that's where the Earth is. It's the middle kingdom. It's the Midgard, the middle garden. So clearly it's the Earth, and by the way, it's green. The heart chakra's color is green, which proves that it is the Earth. It's the Earth. We are standing in the Midgard, and we are the middle, the middle kingdom. But so what's happening is Mars is above this, directly above. That's why his arrow is above, because he's going in the direction of above. Whereas Venus, her cross is below the circle when you look at the glyph of Venus. indicating that she's the waters below. And these are the two waters that produce the two hemispheres of the yin and yang illusion in reality everywhere in the universe. These are all taken care of by Mars and Venus, the two archetypes of the waters above and the waters below. Mars is above also because he is above the ecliptic on March the 21st, 0 degrees right ascension of meridian. Mars is the ruler of Aries. Opposite in Libra is his little girlfriend Venus, and she rules the bottom half of the sine wave from September 21st onward. The wintry cold. She's the watery cold woman, the evil Eve that was thrown out of the Garden of Eden, and then all of a sudden what happened was that God made skins for them. Really, what it's saying in the original Hebrew is not that he made skins for them to wear, he made them into skins, because before this time they had different bodies, physical bodies that were not material, you see, in a higher dimension. And so this is clearly what is depicted by the fall in Genesis. It's a fall from the golden age of consciousness, where we have 100% unconditioned consciousness as physical beings in the physical world, but not having these dense material bodies. These dense material bodies with heavy bones, you see, they were once cartilaginous structures. They were much more vibrating. The bones were vibrating on a much, much higher level. And so this is why Eve is associated with that particular fall, because on the ecliptic, she takes care of the what's called negative electrical part, whereas Mars takes care of the positive, you see. And so this is where the waters above have to do, everything is water. In fact, this is why the confusion amongst the Greeks, the early Greek philosophers, where one school taught that everything is air, and another school taught, no, it's all water. And another one comes along and it's, no, all fire. I think Pythagoras was all fire, because fire is the generator. But call it what you will. It doesn't matter. It's all vibration. That's why the letters A, V, W, M, and N all have the continual Egyptian glyph for water, which is the wave, the sine wave. For goodness sakes, it's staring at us right in our faces. A stands for three elements: ether, air, and aqua. N stands for nautical, water. V, vapor, that's air. W, water. M, Mars, fire. And so, what we have done now is we have explained, we've understood that the waters above and the waters below have to do with positive electricity and negative electricity, and that's it. It's as simple as that. It all goes back to the illusion versus the reality. The reality is in magnetic, still, white, unconditioned light. White light is not divided. That's why it's white. It's pure. It's the purest light. White light. This is why angels are white. This is why we, as Isaiah says, your sins are as scarlet red, but I shall purge them and make them white as snow. Because of this, because that's our true nature. But we also have the left brain, lower nature of man, human beings, electrical organisms, and these come from red and blue light, which come from white. And red and blue Ra and El. That's who they are. Ra and El.
And there's the Real, right? Or the Rael, which makes up the royalty, right? And the royalty is contained within us. I thought it was interesting when you said the word era, E-R-A. It's also sounds an awful lot like Ireland when it's, the E-I-R-E, right? The era. When you take era, E-R-A, and reverse it, you have R, A-R-E. And there's your yin and yang on each side of the spirit breath. There was a lot of other things that you said, and I'm listening to you with the concept of what's going on, and like phonetically, and it's amazing how everything just mirrors itself, and it all comes back to exactly what you're saying, regardless of how you look at it. It's mind-boggling.
Yeah, because as I've pointed out, the word Ma is one of the keys to this universal, beautiful language of light, which is sound, which is what we're doing. And Ma backwards is Ram, and so you've got Mary and Mars. This is why Mary had a little lamb whose fleece was white as snow, and everywhere Mary went, Mars, the lamb was sure to go. Aries. Because they live together. Mars is the ruler of Aries. I
was going to say, I've got another rhyme of the same nature that explains something from a very different viewpoint using Mary. It's one I remember as a kid when Mom said it. We laughed and laughed. Mary had a little lamb. Now check out the words that are used in this. Mary had a little lamb. Its name was Julius Caesar, and every time it jumped the fence, you saw its lemon squeezer.
Yeah.
Funny how that turns around. Sorry, I see that from a completely different perspective, but that sounds so martial, doesn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. And so if you go to one of my shows that I did called Adam and Eve, I think it was on Connections Radio with Kathy Bacalou. If you go to that one, you will have a list of all of the, Mars, Venus, Adam, Eve, Dawn, Eve, words, and you can it's one of the best shows that you'll get for understanding the tree of knowledge of good and evil. Because on the one side you have what's considered to be good and is akin with good, and the negative side is akin with evil. And it's just a name we've given to the Horus and Set, just the illusion of this vibratory world that we live in. It's just a name we've given to these heroes. And they'll always be fighting against each other. Jesus will always have Satan to contend with, in the vibratory world. What is it about vibrations that people don't get? Everything is vibrating. And so when you get this word Ma, and you understand what it is, Mars is considered to be the good hero, whereas Eve is, the corrupting, dualistic evil. But they are one and the same thing. They are exactly one and the same thing. In one moment, they're doing one role, and at the same time, contemporaneously, they are doing the other role at the same time. It must be that way, because you can't have half of a vibration in the universe to create a universe. You can't have just the positive half. You can't say, let's lose the ecliptic at 180 degrees along the ecliptic. We just go from, we just do 180 degrees of the ecliptic, the positive part, the summer bits. Let's lose winter forever because we don't like it. You've got a half a universe there. Doesn't work, right? So we're always going to be dealing with these two enemies. Mars will always have his other side, Mary, and he will be fire when he's ruling in Aries, and he'll be water when he's ruling in Scorpio. But it's basically just the waters above and the waters below. The waters above are dealing with red light, which is associated with masculine, positive, fiery, well, it's red, fire. And the blue portion of light in the universe, the other half of the universal vibration, the blue bits, the Venetian bits, Venus, that is attributed, that's water, that's the colour of water. But look, it's also the colour of the sky. So we've got red for fire, and we've got blue for water, but we've also got blue air. So this is the problem with all of this. Well, there's not a problem. There's only a problem if we deal with it from the left brain. If we deal with it from the left, from the sinister land, and we're all analytical, and it's like going into court and defending the legal name and using public prosecutors. Why, when you can do it private? See, public is in the left, and private, that's private. It's you and that's God. That's God's throne in the right. So that's private. Why would you go and make use of public services only to strike a deal with the whore of Babylon and to be considered to be now a citizen in the public, receiving a paycheck from the government because, well, you've got registrations proving it. That's what a license is. A license to drive is proof that you are the most under servant of Rome because you are buying into their public system. That's theirs. They own the name. Last time I checked, any legal name is owned by the Crown. So somebody else owns it other than you if you want a piece of legal name. I wouldn't be doing that. I wouldn't be messing with any of that left brain stuff at all. And this is why it's so important for people to understand this. Sovereignty comes from the right place. And it's got to be from the right place. It cannot be just from the left. And all of these, wannabes who call themselves freemen and all of these stupid names, who can't just call themselves the I am, because free man and all of that on the land or whatever, in the air, in the sky, wherever you want to be free, it's you can only acquire that when you enter the promised land. You have to get to know who you are, and you've got to know that higher self that you are, because they can tell the difference in court. If you walk in there and you know who you are, they poo their pants and they're out of there. Just see Sovereign bows to a judge bows to Sovereign video. It only takes 2 minutes to do. You've probably seen that one.
Oh yeah, I might have seen that. Yeah, I saw that up close and personal, like in real time. Yeah, another thing, and you're nailing it perfectly with the left brain, and what happens with the left brain is you become very polarized. So let me share with everybody, as I have shared, that if you carry a birth certificate, you can be actually one of 7.3 billion people on this planet, because you can order anyone's birth certificate with the right information. But here it is from an allegorical spiritual side. It's also telling you that you are all 7.3 billion people, and a name separates you from the one. You see, so it has to go in the mirror 180 degrees, and it has to be equal and opposite at the same time. You will never see this polarized in a left brain mentality. It will not happen. I'm sorry. The left brain wants to argue. It wants to be right. It wants to figure stuff out. It wants to show how clever it is, and the whole time. I mean, I don't have any desire any longer to sit and listen to the same stories over and over and over again, because, quite frankly, I've had my own experiences. Yes, I can listen to conversations from an allegorical perspective. My selfish nature says that I want you to enjoy the real magic of what it is that you're sharing. And again, when people get into a personal experience outlining this and that, it has no relevance to me, only as it applies to my own experience as I'm listening for the clues. And it's like watching a rerun over and over and over, and eventually you just get tired of that channel and you change it, because I like dialing into way more exciting channels, and I like sharing those channels with people so that we can share the adventures. Like it was about a 4.5 hour travel time from where we were today, and traveling with Mike, he sees things allegorically, and we're looking, as we're traveling along, we're looking for things that connect in our experience and connect us and connect the situation all at the same time. And it is, as far as I'm concerned, the most fun game you can play. Now, just to give you a point in hand here with regards to I am all 7.3 billion points of consciousness, looking at it all from only one particular camera angle, but that doesn't mean that I'm not shooting the entire movie. And I think maybe people have heard me claim on a few occasions that you can talk about Pope Jorge Bergoglio, but that's my character. All right, just like everybody else on this planet is my character, just as I am one of yours. And when we start seeing it check this out and see what it looks like from this perspective. So I can decide to be at effect to thinking that Pope Francis or Jorge Bergoglio is something and someone separate from me, or I can go, wait a minute, that's just me in a different meat stick, vibrating slightly different and having a look at the world from a different perspective, but that doesn't mean to say I cannot take on that role. And of course, I look for the causes of things from that perspective, that when I change my mind about something and I want truth to get out, I just share it from that perspective. So here, let me share a little something that has just come across, the internet in the last day or so. I haven't really had a chance to be on the net, of course, traveling as much as I have, and I got to tell you, when I get off the air, the last thing I want to look at is a computer. So, really. And I should mention, I'm basing the show on my battery power, and I've got an hour and 5 minutes of battery on the computer, and I have an hour on the board. So we should have enough to get us to the top of the hour, but being that it is New Reality Eve, I would like to, we got a lot of people here, I'd like to go and kind of be a social butterfly a little bit. I don't get much of a chance to do that. But here, check this out. See what you guys think of this. Shocking! There is no hellfire. Adam and Eve not real. Pope Francis exposes. About time I opened my mouth about this, huh? Here we go. One man who is out to open many old secrets in the Catholic Church is Pope Francis. Some of the beliefs that are held in the Church, but contrary to the loving nature of God, are now being set aside by the Pope, who was recently named the Man of the Year by Time Magazine. Actually, I don't even look at that as being anything important, because there's been a few Nazis back in the 30s that were Man of the Year as well with Time Magazine. So, yeah, they've had some pretty interesting Man of the Years if you have a look at it, and not all of them have been deemed worthy of Man of the Year. But from whatever perspective you're looking at, if it awakens people, whether it's good or evil, to me it's all good. So here's what, in his last revelation, here's what Pope Francis said. Through humility, soul-searching, and prayerful contemplation, we have gained a new understanding of certain dogmas. You've had them rammed out of your throat, sir, because your dogmas are not working anymore. The Church no longer believes a literal hell where people suffer. This doctrine is incompatible with the infinite love of God. Yes, I have infinite love, of course I do. God is not a judge, of course I don't, but a friend and a lover of humanity. Yes, I am. God seeks not to condemn, but only to embrace. Like the fable of Adam and Eve. This is him quoting. He's being quoted here. Like the fable of Adam and Eve, we see hell as a literary device. Hell is merely a metaphor for the isolated soul, which, like all souls, ultimately will be united in love with God. I'll end that quote as I would have finished it. When you wake your sorry ass up and stop being such a left-brain idiot. Okay, so carrying on. In a shocking speech that is reverberating across the world, Pope Francis declared that all religions are true because they are true in the hearts of all those who believe in them. What other kind of truth is there? In the past, the church has been harsh on those it deemed morally wrong or sinful. Yeah, I think they burned a lot of those at the stake and hung them and crucified. Yeah. Let's not get into details, shall we? Anyway, today we no longer judge. Like a loving father, we never condemn our children. Our church is big enough for heterosexuals and homosexuals, for the pro-life and pro-choice, for conservatives and liberals. Even communists are welcome and have joined us. We all love and worship the same God. Well, again, that's still a little bit exterior, but I'll fix that shortly. Pope, obviously, either he's been watching Santos Bonacci's Syncretism or...
Bill Donahue?
Syncretism is basically what he's just done. The dunce is he's just bowed down to syncretism. That's what it was all along. All the greats in history have always pointed to the fact that it's all one science, but you just got a bunch of goons that want to kill each other for their particular understanding or lack of understanding of that science.
Exactly. So I should mention to people I actually am outside. I've got the fire going. The blankets, I think it's about minus 12, minus 15 here. So if you hear any crackling, that's the fire going. So just want to let you know that. Talk about dedicated, huh? There you go. But yeah, absolutely. And when I see things like that, that's how I know that the overall consciousness is awakening. And all of those that are still preaching and have been preaching this literal shite are being exposed on a world scale. One of the things that I find very effective in waking people up with regard to the system is, when we talk about a name, it's as simple as if someone were to say, ask for your name, excuse me, and practice in grocery stores and banks and whatever. So if somebody asks you for a name, you just ask them, well, are you looking for the legal name or my lawful one? All right, just to plant the seeds. And I think people are really starting to see the power of seed planting versus trying to do. One of the things that I find people get, and this is left brain, this is very physical, get wrapped up in doing, and that's actually to me backwards, because it's the doing that is the effect. All contracts are created in your mind, right? You have to see it first, right? All is mind, and when you agree with anything at all in your mind, you are in spiritual contract with it. This is why those that are still clinging to things in the system to try to solve things, those are still strings on your puppet. And you cannot be the master with strings on your puppet. You have to cut them all. And you have to cut them all in your mind and heart first. This hopefully will remove all the panic from people. Because as soon as, and you've heard me, literally years now, talking about this, and we've had many one-on-one discussions with regards to identification. What do we do? With regards to your traveling, when you were going to Ecuador and stuff like that. And I made it really clear. You know who you are, Santo. It's different. It's like when I had to travel to Ireland, I had the British High Consulate fully admit that any use of the legal name was in fact fraud. And I don't know how many times I have to tell people that. Okay, when I say British High Consulate, that might reference right back to maybe, the British Empire, the City of London, like the heart of the beast. And the heart of the beast tells me and confirms for me that any use of the name on the birth certificate is fraud. Like, what is it going to take for people just get that notion and just hang on to that for a little bit, roll it around your tongue and your mind, and don't get all crazy about it. Because this is the problem with left-brainers, is they start scripting, because we've been trained to. We've been very well trained to script. The what-if game. Well, what if this? Well, what if it doesn't? Stop scripting. Just have a look at the now moment. You're getting ripped out of the now constantly. So if you just sit down and meditate on that thought, that the legal name that you carry around is fraud, just dwell on that thought. Don't worry about trying to solve anything, chitter-chatter monkey whisperer. Just sit and dwell on it. Yeah, look, it's not about. We believe that. Well, that stuff is corrupt. It's a belief. It's not a belief. It's actually fact that if you carry a legal name, you're committing fraud. So it's not now up to. You see, in the media, they've used the devices such as, they're wrong and they believe and everything. Now it's like out purely in the open, clear as day, that if you should use that name in any way, you are committing fraud. And so that's the way the system actually runs. They have thrived and profited from our ignorance of this. Cat's out of the bag.
And for those that are having take a look at cops, for example. Okay, you don't need to get a name from these guys and girls. You don't. Their proof of intent to commit fraud is already shown by the uniform they put on with their willful consent that morning. You don't need a name. The fact that they're wearing a uniform indicates clearly that their intent is to aid and abet and commit fraud. Remember, false personation or impersonation is usually a law enforcement officer for the purpose of deceiving someone. It's right in Black's Law. I showed that to someone last night, and their jaw dropped. That's not in there. I said, yeah, it is. Well, let me see that. And I showed it to them, and they went, holy. So this is, it's things like these that really start to wake people up. And we've been in a sleepy haze for a long time. Not anymore. This coming era that we're in right now, we're sliding beautifully in a lateral timeline, is, I can't even begin to scope what this table alone has done with the gathering of the people here and what we have been sharing over the last number of years. This is why, for me, it's about empowering all of you into who you truly are. You're me. I'm just trying to wake myself up. And, sometimes, I hit the snooze. It's okay. It's okay. But guys, you wake up to this, and when you start seeing the world you are changing, have a look at the beautiful things that are happening. I remember this time last year, and we were getting our little victories here and there. Still hadn't fully, exposed what we have at this point. But, the last number of months have yielded nothing but victories, shutting everything down. And now we get the Pope coming out to actually and finally admitting that Adam and Eve it's just a fable, that they were selling as the real shit, that hell doesn't exist. Well, the hell and heaven both exist in your mind.
He may as well have just said, look, go to YouTube and look under syncretism.
Exactly. He might as well have. And, let's just put that out there. What Jorge Bergoglio really meant to say was, Google syncretism and have a look for yourself at how much we've been bullshitting the people for a couple of thousand or more years. I think that's fair, don't you think?
Yep. Basically, they're just giving it to the conscious, unconscious masses in a very sugary, watered down way, because pretty soon it's going to be rammed down their throats, and there will be mass,
Aryan style.
Oh yeah, it's only a matter of days. It's only a matter of days before this stuff gets, the total foreclosure of the whole freaking system. It'll just come down crashing like a ghost came through the planet, and we'll be just looking at each other going, what the fuck was that? Did that really happen? Whatever that was that just came and went, because and then instantly it'll be like, all the pain and the suffering of Rome will have just disappeared, because it will be obsolete. It's not only we here on the ground that are doing this, to destroy her and make her obsolete. There's many conscious beings participating, and they're all one and the same with us. And, they're angelic and archangelic forces of light, conspiring against the darkness, that has held sway for too long.
Couldn't agree more. And those of you at this table right now know exactly what we're talking about. And you see it with your own eyes, you hear it with your own ears. And, here, pat yourself on the back, okay? And it's not in a prideful sense, but well done. Well done. Go have a look in the mirror and say this tonight, because you can say it with full conviction, with full truth. And I want you to say it just as I'm saying it to you. I changed the world. Of course you did. Of course you did.
Yeah, they want you to believe, they always give you a story of how some woman who was making cookies decided to go to the local mall, and then she sold a bunch more, and then she got this business idea, and she's a genius, and now she's a multimillionaire with her cookies. I mean, they give you these stories just to sort of make, the elite who have controlled and rigged the whole system. They're just giving you these little stories in dribs and drabs so that people get inspired and go, oh, wow, and so, I mean, great, good on these people, because they are being heroes from the left brain, but they are still being manipulated because, so what if you've got a multi-million-dollar cookie business, or whatever the frickin' hell else it is, these success stories that they slam in our faces. We were a success the moment we landed on this planet and we said mummy and puppy and whatever other language we spoke. We were always a success. We didn't need a great cookie idea, and now we're the cookie guru of the world, and we're a multimillionaire, and we are a rightful good example to all those other hard-working job people out there clocking on to their legal names 9 to 5 a day. Oh, yes, this cookie woman. You learn from her, you people down there. Learn how to get a business and be something and be rich, and you can have your name in a glossy magazine. Yeah, this is maggoty. To me, it's so maggoty. All of that glossy bullshit stuff from the world, none of it, absolutely none of it enters into my world. It's so maggoty that so far removed, Christ from Belial, there's a universe between the two. There's a black hole between the two. And so these things can never, ever ensnare someone like me anymore. It's all over. It's game over for Babylon the Great and Santos Bonacci, So I take great delight that I have all the syncretism skills and abilities due to my birth chart that I chose, to be able to, administer it correctly. So Pope Francis, sooner or later, he will be issuing from his mouth. You need to check out Santos Bonacci's syncretism, because we can unfuck the world that we fucked up with syncretism. So please do it now, today.
Exactly. And the more seeds you plant, the more plants you get. That's kind of how it works, isn't it? Now, I've got about 40 minutes left on my battery here, so we got Mike on the board and we got Live on the board, so why don't we get everybody involved for right up until my battery goes dead. And no charge tonight, guys, okay? So just to make you well aware of that. Let's just have the last little bit here of a table chat until this battery runs out, because I actually, this is what I want to do. I want to run the battery out on this year. So, somehow I think it just did. Okay, well, shit. Hello. Okay, we're back. I got some noise in the background there, guys. So, sorry about that, Santo. I think my manifestation ability just went through the roof, because I had 40 minutes left on a battery with like 43%. And I came in and plugged in, and I'm sitting at 10% right now, so I think I etherically sucked the battery life right out of it. Careful what you wish for. Anyway, so, yeah, it might be a little noisy around here, but that's okay. Anyway, yeah, sorry about that, guys. Let me just, we got Mike in the call. We got Live. I've got area code 315 and area code 908. Let's just bring everybody in for, I guess, the last 38 minutes here. And I got Boston in, and I'm not sure what area code 614 is. Guys, be mindful of when I open your mics, if you got noise in the background, it is going to get picked up on this end, and it will go live to air. So I would appreciate if you could just be mindful of that. That would be great. So there you go, Santo. Comments, and let's get some people in here, and let's talk about some victories and what we're going to be doing about planting some more seeds to get that 1 hour now, the Babylon hour.
Yeah. Well, the first place is to understand the difference between the legal and the lawful, and how they are closely connected with the left brain and the right brain, the effect and the cause. And so, do we want to be effects always, pushed around, or do we want to be causes? And so, this is what knowing who you are is what it's all about. If you don't know that you are this, then I don't know how to transform a person instantly. I don't think there is such a thing. But I would be, if you're still struggling with this, I would be finding some quiet time as much as possible, or get some entheogens in you. I don't know. That's the only two things I can think about.
Yeah, I agree. It's you got to spend some time with God. You got to spend some time with you. You're it. That's it. You are it. If it takes some entheogens, great. I can't even put into words. Do you know how we all? Well, I'll speak for me. You're always looking for that moment of, am I really awake? Am I this? And when you've kind of been in that state most of your life anyway, it's not as profound as some of the stories you hear from people, right? So that being said, it all goes back to music and meditating in that position, right? So I guess for some people it's like when you floor the car and it lurches forward. For some of us, it's just been a slow, steady acceleration where we didn't even notice it. It's like a plane taking off on a 1 mile runway or taking 30 miles to lift off. Chances are in a 30-mile takeoff, you wouldn't even notice it, any pull on the seat, right? And that's effectively the way I describe my own walk here. So let's get some comments from some people here, guys. So who wants to jump in first?
Aloha.
There's Mike. How are you?
Wonderful. Once again,
hey, Mike.
Hey, Santos. Once again, beautiful brother, beautiful sister. Wow, my heart is open. Thank you.
That's all it takes. That's all it takes. It's time to cut the strings. And you do those in your mind, you do that in your heart. Lose the whole concept of I need to do something. What do I do? What do I do? No, you just got to sit down, shut the fuck up, and be. That tough. Yeah, but left brain doesn't want that because it doesn't prove that it's clever. How can I prove that I'm clever by not doing something? And chitter chatter, right? So that's all it takes. Thanks, Mike. That's perfect. Anybody else?
I'll give you a
go ahead, Mike.
What's happening
Please.
right now? My wife and son want to go to the beach, and when we got back, the other car was dead battery. Not 15 below, but 80 degrees and sunny.
Wow.
And when right now I'm trying to jump the cars, and it goes red, red, black, black. And I thought, okay, here's an allegory. I don't know what it is yet, but I'm still using this old technology. It was one of the thoughts that came to me.
There you go. You're draining the batteries too. Look at that. That's just a coincidence. Guys, all the mics are open. I'm not going to sit here and who's hitting the buttons, guys? I can. The mics are all open. You don't need to hit one anymore.
Well, hello, Kate and Santos and everybody. This is Michael McCracken.
Yes, I recognize the voice, Michael. How are you doing?
I'm doing better than I was. But getting better every day. I'm getting stronger anyway.
Yes, you are. And, hey, listen, you want some company tomorrow night? Are you on tomorrow night?
You're broke up.
Are you on the air tomorrow night on Wolf Spirit?
No, they're not going to have shows tomorrow night. I was hoping they would because it would be the first show of the year. I'm trying to contact Dave here to find out if he's going to let us come through or not.
Well, either way, Mike can come and join us here, and we'll do it that way. Does that work for you?
That works 100% for me.
Okay.
Yeah,
perfect. Then we'll have. Go ahead.
I got some news. I'd like to make a prayer request here. My mom, I just found out, has adrenaline gland cancer, which is the same cancer that my dad died from, like 10 years ago. And they're the first couple that's been recorded as a couple where they both ended up with adrenal gland cancer. So if you guys could say some prayers for my mom, Kay McCracken, I'd really appreciate it.
Consider it done.
Yeah.
But now getting back to some happy news, one of the things that I can remember my dad first teaching me this lesson when I was a little boy. We always overlook the first cause of every issue that happens to us. And now think about this in the context of how this system of things has frauded us first from the start. They were the causation of this whole demonic system that's been in place that is tumbling down now. So we should, I can only speak for me, that's why I have no problem throwing it all away, because I know it's all a fraud, and I know it's all a lie, and I know it's easy to stand up against a lie.
Well, absolutely. Yeah, you nailed it, and it's when we finally come to terms with the fact that it is all fraud, it is all a lie. What choice do you really have? I mean, you want to be part of knowing that you are living a lie, partaking in it, creating harm for others, or are you going to finally decide to stand in truth and move that around to the other side? Exactly, Kate. It's really amazing when you look at it. People always want to take the blame for what they think they've done. Like when they get pulled over for speeding, so we'll say just speeding. They get pulled over for a traffic infraction. They think that they're actually being wrong, when in fact the person that pulled them over is actually the person who's doing the nasty, dirty deed. Because now they've infringed upon their rights. They've stopped their locomotion and kidnapped them. They're not looking at this from the proper perspective, where these so-called peace officers are nothing more than kidnappers and human traffickers is what they are. And we keep acting like it's a noble profession that they have, when it's not. That's why I don't let any of them off the hook. Someone comes up to me, and I've had this told me a couple of times, well, I'm just doing my job, and I got a family to feed. Well, fuck you.
Exactly.
Yeah, what about the rest of us that you're stealing our lives and our families from us? What makes you think that you can do that and still stand without shame? I'm not gentle about this stuff. I'll tell you.
I'm not either.
Yeah, the true compassion comes in when you hit them right between the eyes with the truth and you tell them exactly the crimes they're committing. Do not go gentle into that good night. You go in it with a flamethrower and light it up. Because enough. Because I'll tell you, go ahead, Michael.
I was going to work one morning. I was driving on 690 on my way into Syracuse, and I got pulled over because I was, in fact, speeding. I was going like 70 miles an hour in a 65-mile-an-hour area. And the trooper pulled me over, and he says, where are you going? I said, I'm going to work so I can earn the money to pay my taxes, to pay your salary so that you can protect me. Now, are you going to let me get going? I'm already late. Or are you going to cause me to be late further? And he just looked at me and he says, I don't even know how to respond to that. I said, your only way to respond to that is get to work so that I can feed your family. And the guy let me go.
What a beautiful turnaround, you know? That's why I'm in a hurry. You see, that's the thing. When you justify it where it makes sense to them, it doesn't short them out so badly, and they're going, well, maybe the guy's got a point. You see what happens when you actually played that guy's ego against him. You know, I am going out trying to make you money, and you're slowing me down, asshole. Let me go. I love it.
Yep.
That's funny. That's funny. I just got a Facebook post here, video. I'm going to watch it. Thanks, Bob. Appreciate this. He was pulled over for no plates. They tried coercion methods to attempt to get a name. They handcuffed him, and he caught them admitting fraud on camera. The audio is very low, but it is audible, so I'll have a listen to this after the show. They said they will arrest me if I ride it after they've told me not to, but I wasn't charged with anything. They said they would send something in the mail. Cheers. Have a nice day. You know, it's done. Guys, the game is over. And the minute you start having fun, like Michael just explained, it's fun. That you know what, bud? That is thinking on your feet, and that is throwing the ego right in their face where they can't do anything but say, well, you better hurry up because I want to make some money, you know? Oh, my God.
Right. When I told him that I had to get going so I can make some money so that his family can be fed, he was like, he just stood there shaking his head. It was really quite comical because he expected me to do all kinds of other things because at that particular time I was pretty well known with what they do to me when they pull me over. But I was just in such a pissed off mood that, you know, I didn't have time to dick with him that day. And
nor did you, but you did, right? Beautifully.
Right.
Oh, great story, Michael. Great story. Yeah, I definitely. Tomorrow night, let's expand on some of these things as well, my friend, because that's the shit I'm talking about.
Yep.
Right on. And we got some noise in the background, guys. So just be mindful. The mics are all open. You put your hand up, your mic is open. I got enough noise going on in the background here, you know. So yeah, who else wants in here?
Hey, Kate, how's it going?
Good. How are you?
Good. It's Jim. Hey, just want to say hi to you and Santos. Good show tonight. And I wanted to tell a story about me picking up a hitchhiker. I think I told you, Kate, this story.
Yeah, this is a story you need to share. Thank you. And
yeah, I just turned a corner, picked up some guy there. I just something told me just pull over and pick this guy up, you know. And I said, hey, how's it going? He jumps in. Where are you going to? He says, well, I don't know. I said, okay, well, I'm going this way. I'm still trying to find out where this guy wants to go, you know. And I go, so, like, you know, like, where do you want to go? What are you doing? He goes, well, I don't know. I'm just being. I go, what do you mean you're just being? I never heard of anyone just being, right? He goes, yeah. He goes, I just be. And I'm still, my brain's still trying to get my head around this. I'm going, well, what do you mean you're just being? He goes, well, I just be. So I go, well, what do you do in the middle of winter when it's really cold and you know and the weather's bad? And he goes, well, I just be. He goes, you know, you should see the stuff. You should see the shit that people throw out. And I thought to myself, well, yeah, you know, I guess you're right, you know. So anyway, I'm still trying to figure out how this guy he's just being. He just bees, he says, you know. And to make a long story short, you know, I say, well, listen, I'm going this way. He wants to go to the nearest town. I said, well, look, I guess I can let you all here at the lights, and just a couple blocks up there, there's Tim Hortons up there. I said, can I give you a few bucks? You can grab yourself something. He goes, no, man, I don't take money. And off he went. So he showed me how to just be, and I guess it can be done, right?
Yeah, well, like I told you, yeah, it looks like you picked up an angel on the road.
Yeah, there's no other explanation. Like, he didn't want anything from me. He was there to show me how to be, right? In the now, like you and I talked about, right?
Oh yeah, we had a great chat about that.
Yeah,
absolutely. That's a great story. I'm glad you shared it, Jim. Thank you. That's a good one.
Yeah. Thanks, guys, for the work you're doing. Much appreciated.
Hey, we love you.
Love you back.
That's why we do it, you know.
Can I get a Jesus from Santos?
Oh, could we please? Give us a big fat Jesus, Santo.
You want one in 2013 or 2014?
Well, it's 2013-14, so give it both years.
Yeah.
Jesus.
That's a keeper.
Yep.
Oh, yeah. Actually, I was thinking the other day.
Does that so well.
Yeah, I was thinking. Go ahead, Michael.
Santos does that Jesus thing so well. I mean, he ought to change his name to that.
Hey, you know how many times I've heard it coming out of, the way they say it, it's like, is it coming out of their bums or is it coming out of their mouths? They're so anal about Jesus being literal. He's got to be literal, He's got to be something that tangible that we can conceive down here with our left brain, in the laboratory. It's got to be empirical. Jesus, it's so earthy the way they say it. It's coming out of their bums. It's constipation, sort of. I've heard this so many times, man. It's so anal. It's anal domination.
Oh, it's so beautiful.
Yeah.
Be your middle name.
Yeah.
Santos, you know why it sounds like it's coming from their ass, right? Because they got their head up there.
Yeah, you squeeze it out. Gee, it's so real, this Jesus who's dominated us for so long. We've got to make it sound like it's real and earthy and chunky. It's got to be chunky, You can't just say Jesus. It's Jesus gave us everything that we have, brothers and sisters. And the pedophilia. So bend over.
Hey guys, I got a question. What should you do when you're approached into a roadside DUI trap for tonight?
Just don't mock it up in your universe.
Yeah, don't drink.
No, I wouldn't harness the thought of it, but I could relay it to other party attenders. Hey, if you run into a DUI trap, what would you recommend them saying to the officer to be able to get out of it?
Well, the first thing I would do, if you're going to be traveling, maybe take a few copies of some stuff around, like the I Am the Witness cover letter and stuff like that. Make your life a bit easier. If you see, here's the difference. We talked about this last night. Paperwork will work if you know what's on it. It's not the paper that works; it's the intent behind it.
It's the words.
No, it's the intent.
It's the Phoenician.
The other thing here is that if you're out there driving and you've been drinking, you shouldn't be driving and you know it, because now you're putting other families at risk. Not just
I'm not. I'm going. Yeah. So the party is at my girlfriend's house, but when they leave, I want to advise them how to be, cerebral about it, how to navigate out of that situation.
There's no way to be. That's right. There's no way that you can tell somebody.
It's their responsibility.
There's no way you can tell somebody that's never dealt with this situation before how to dance around it, especially when they're half in the bag. And if they're half in the bag, they shouldn't be on the road driving, because they're putting not just their life at risk, but they're putting the lives of others at risk. So if you're going to go out there and party tonight, either stay where you're going to be partying or have designated drivers.
Mm-hmm.
Like I don't drink anymore, and I drank enough for all of us.
Just for clarification as well, like when you asked me that question, I wasn't answering it from the context of someone who has been drinking. Quite frankly, if someone's been drinking and they get pulled over and they blow over, well, fuck them. That's just I'm not going to help idiots. That's my intent. I'll tell you, it doesn't matter what's on my documents, because my intent is completely 180 degrees against that. People got to grow up. This is the whole thing. that whole notion to me is still a free man, gimme mentality, and I'm not going to help people that are fucking stupid. Sorry, I just can't. I don't drink and drive.
Yep.
Never would.
And
never have.
And the thing is that part of this whole thing that we're trying to teach people, that we're trying to learn together, is to be responsible for ourselves and to stand up for ourselves, because we know who we are and we know who they aren't. And if you're going to be out there drinking and driving tonight, well, then you're going to get what you deserve.
Mm-hmm.
Because what happens if, I mean, you don't know how many times I've sat in AA meetings and listened to people that have killed other people while they were out there drinking and driving, and they never meant to do it. Nobody means to do it. But they end up doing it, and it's an accident. They don't call them accidents for nothing. It's not on purposes. They're accidents. However, whenever you take and you get yourself where you're in an altered state, whether it's with drugs or alcohol or just rubbing peanut butter on your belly button, if that puts you in an altered state, don't go out there and operate heavy machinery, because now you're going around with a 3,000-pound missile that can end up killing somebody's child. So there you're not being responsible.
Well, here, let me give you a scenario. Let me give you a scenario from my position, and this is why my intent will never back anything like that. Very specifically, because here it is in a nutshell. Imagine somebody who has been, drinking, but not enough to blow over, but enough to, make them stupid. They end up using some paperwork of mine, clears them through a DUI checkpoint, and just down the road they end up killing somebody. Who's responsible? I'm not.
All right. Let me give you another scenario then.
Sure.
Don't you think that people are too selfish though, and that's the problem?
No.
Sorry, guys, to butt in.
No,
yeah,
okay, Mark.
Don't you think people are too selfish?
What about all these checkpoints where they want to take your blood test? That's other than this evening. What about that are popping out through all of the United States where people are videotaping where they're running into road traps where they want to take someone's DNA, their blood sample.
Hell of a fear porn movie you're writing. Let's change the subject, guys, because that's just fear porn, and I don't play that game.
I know, right? but
I didn't play the what if scenarios, guys. Come on, let's just move on and let's talk about things that are actually worthwhile, please.
I got something neat to bring up if you want. Can you guys hear me?
Loud and clear. Loud and clear.
Oh, okay, great. I didn't know if I was on. Okay. Something I've been thinking about ties into everything that we all talk about here. Thanks for letting me talk, by the way. So, these elitists, they move the obelisk around to where they think it's like, a point of power somewhere on the globe, right? Like, that's something we're all aware of, right? Like, what did they have? One in St. Peter's Square. They put them in certain places, right? And another thing is, people like beginners call in. They're looking for answers externally, and we all know that you have to get your answers inside. And something that occurred to me a while back was when you're looking for answers or whatever, I guess you got to be a cleared enough person, like Santos says, you got to ground yourself, you got to do all of that stuff, and some of us become masters at the little technique of whatever works for us, and when that happens, it becomes sort of like a daily practice. And something I noticed is when you get sort of the right answers, the same sort of thing occurs in your body, and sometimes it's like you get your hair stands up on end. And it can get pretty consistent. It's sort of like when you're, when all your, when you're out in nature and your hair stands up, it's like all of your senses are on high alert. And I looked into that a little bit, and the funny thing is, in medical books, those muscles that are involved in raising your hairs are called the erector pili muscle, which is weird because I know pylons, it's like an Egyptian thing, like erecting the pylons or whatever into place. So I thought that was interesting, that the hair standing up is erecting the pillars on your body. And, that's like an important thing in the occult world. So I was thinking that ties into everything that we talk about, and it's a way that people can know when they're getting tuned in like an antenna to the universe, like in the right way. You get your hair to stand up, and it's like, it tingles, and it's like the answers, and you're like right there. So, I don't know if anybody else experienced that, Santo, or, I don't know. Go ahead, guys.
Fantastic, brother.
Yep. For sure, all the time. If you want a real hair raiser, have a look at the astrological chart for the 1st of January. I'm looking at it right now. If you've got a web browser, put horoscopeswithin.com and go to 9 p.m. Melbourne and have a look at the skies. I've never seen in my life, such a beautiful cardinal grand cross. Now, what I'm looking at is, if anything's going to happen in a major way, that's going to send shockwaves, which it will, it'll happen at 9 o'clock Melbourne time, because that's when the sun just goes below the horizon and drags 5 planets with it in Capricorn. Capricorn goes down the horizon at 9 o'clock. And what happens now is that you've got all of these planets in weak signs. Jupiter across is in the 12th house, and the sun opposite is in the 6th house. This is the weakest axis along the ecliptic. If anything's going to happen, it's going to happen then. And what you'll see is the most beautiful, the sweetest, cleanest grand cross you'll ever see in cardinal signs. And at that moment, 9 o'clock, Neptune goes unaspected. In other words, he loses his sextile from the moon, and that is going to be a telling moment. It's going to be a very telling moment. It's going to unleash some brand new energy on the planet, and we need to grasp that and take advantage of it, because this cardinal grand cross is going to be very destructive in many ways, but very transformative in many, many other ways. It's going to be a new point in history, as you will see.
Yeah, that's why I'm looking at today, and especially the last couple of days, with the revelations that we've been talking about for the last number of months, all coming to a culmination. Especially when I read little things like I read earlier with Pope Francis releasing that information, right? That's going to send ripples throughout the entire church community, because look what they've been teaching in Sunday school forever. And now all of a sudden they're telling, well, it was just a fairy tale. You want to talk about credibility getting shot down on a grand scale,
Yeah, and here's me going to Rome in July. I was just around the corner from the Pope, doing syncretism with the Italians down in Rome, just after 4 days of syncretism in Florence. And what am I talking about? The subject was that it's all a fable. Everything, every archetype, every hero, every vibration of light that has ever existed is the story of it can be told along the ecliptic, from Aries through to Pisces, and it's structured that way because that's how the universe is structured, being a dodecahedron and made from carbon-12. I mean, if that is not enough of a stamp to tell us that is the order and the law of the electrical universe, that it is made by carbon-12, and that is the mark of the beast, 666, because the isotope carbon-12, which is the signature, and it's 99% of all the carbon in the universe, is the structure of the universe. It's the carbon crystal universe. And so light must obey its 12 structure, its 12ness. this particular isotope has 6 so-called neutrons, 6 so-called electrons, and 6 so-called protons. So what happens is once, as I explained yesterday, I think it was, or the day before yesterday, once we resonate with the higher vibration, we transform our carbon-12 into carbon-7. Carbon-7 is very special because it is 6 protons, 6 electrons, and only 1 neutron. So 5 neutrons have been bumped out. They've been bumped off. And it is known that this element is very, very hard to detect in the body because it transmutes into something else instantly. And so, but it has the ability to attract, it's magnetic, and it's white light, it's pure light, and it has the ability to attract akashic key energy into the body. And this is what's going on right now. We are getting an upgrade. So if we don't take the opportunities such as the 1st of January with the new moon and, start a whole new life totally emancipated from, this here world of illusions, you're going to be left behind.
Santo, did you get my video? I sent you a video on that carbon, on the carbon 6 upgrade. I forget, exactly what it had in there, but thought maybe you got some of that from there. Sounds familiar.
I did see that video a long time ago, but my source for this information, my source for this information is from an Italian book called The Chosen People. It's Italian. It's called Il Popolo Eletto, and it's in there. The writers, if I can see their name, Enza Nastrani, explains how the chosen people are the people. Someone's talking in the background, guys. The chosen people are the people who transmute their carbon-12 to carbon-7.
I want to have all your babies.
Yeah.
So I hope you can get that in.
I'm just listening to the last 6 minutes of this show.
Hey, Jim.
Mute your mic.
Mute your mic, bud. All right,
so
and we got something. Hang on, guys. Hang on. Thank you. I needed to jump in here. We got 5 minutes till we're done here. It's getting a bit crazy here, so it's tomorrow night. Don't worry, you're going to be around, eh, Santo?
Yep.
It'll be a whole lot more peaceful tomorrow night. Like, it's almost New Year's here, so it's a bit rowdy. So, and you know what, guys? I need a break, Anyway, so that's let's just wrap this puppy up tonight, and that's a beautiful way to end it there, Santo, with what is actually occurring. So it's 9 p.m. Melbourne time, yes?
Yep.
Okay, excellent. I just want to do a great big thank you to Paul Giovanni. This is the first, it's been just over a year that I've been with Critical Mass, same with you, Santo. And I just want to say a great big thank you to Paul Giovanni, Lisa, Ninja, the crew, all the hosts, and everyone that's been involved with criticalmassradio.co.uk. That includes all of you, the listeners, and I hate using that word, you know that I do. Everyone that sits at this table, everyone that has chipped in to keep this table afloat, to keep it where it is. Words of gratitude will never suffice. Just know that you are God. Know that you are the empowerment of this universe. I know you are because you're me. I finally figured all of that out for me, and it's a beautiful thing when you get there. You changed the world. I cannot make it any simpler than that. You changed the world. Thank you so much for being such a beautiful resonance aspect of me, as hopefully I am for you. Welcome to your new reality. It happens now, and we have it broadcasting in the heavens. As above, so below. Syncretism and astrotheology is all you need to know. And we'll connect all the dots and make everybody happy in the reality of the allegory. And now that you're all seeing this, the dominoes are falling. Remember, one domino takes them all down. All you got to be is the domino. So I just want to say a great big thank you, and that's pretty much it for me. There's 3 minutes. You guys want to finish off here? Please feel free, but I just wanted to get that shout out for Paul and the crew, and thank you, Santo, for being as diligent and as dedicated as you have been, and being a beautiful mentor for me and people like Bill Donahue, Mark Passio, Sivan Bomer, Tobias Lars, Matt Presti, Robert Ote. The list goes on and on and on. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Santo, really, from the bottom of my heart.
Yeah, my pleasure.
Thank you.
Thank you, Santos, Kate.
Thanks, Kate.
Thank you, Kate.
More than welcome, guys.
Santos.
Yep. Thank you.
Hey, guys.
Have a wonderful night, everybody, and thank you.
Oh, and Michael, too. Yes, absolutely. Didn't forget about you, but I forgot about you, Michael. Michael's one of the world changers, too. You know, there's another stalwart. Been in it longer than I have, and like I said, I tip my hat and do a curtsy to all of you. Thank you so much.
Hey, Kate, Santos.
Yeah.
Do you guys? I mean, this is a pretty sort of open-end question, but with syncretism, with hermeticism, do you think the controllers? Well, they obviously get it, don't they? Synchronism.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
How do you think they've been playing the game?
So, in that aspect, then, how do we move forward? Is it a community-based? I mean, I know we have to look in the mirror. We have to look at the individual. We have to look at the person. You have to look at yourself and get yourself sorted, which is obviously, you know, God bless you, Kate. That's what you talk about all the time. Is, you know, unless you sort yourself out, sort yourself out first.
Yeah, you are.
But Santos, they have
but like you said, there is more than one of us, and that's why we're at this table. Because it's a group effort in a way, for sure.
Yeah, but we are one, aren't we? It starts from the individual.
Yeah, every point of consciousness has to wake up to itself, and that's why this table is attracting so many. So we got about 40 seconds, guys. So let's wrap her up.
I'll bring something to the table next time, something really cool that can, like, kind of rubber hits the road stuff for tuning into the right vibes for everybody who's kind of, like, lost in the, how do I tune into this? How do I get this change to start happening immediately in the world around? I got something cool I think I can add, so I'll bring that next time. Would love everybody. Thanks.
Right back at you. Bring it to the table tomorrow night. We're going to have Mike McCracken, myself, and Santos Bonacci. First round table of the year tomorrow. So bring it tomorrow night.
We'll start it off right.
Okay, guys. Happy new reality. I'm out of here. It's just getting too crazy on this end. So much love, and we'll catch you guys tomorrow night, 7 p.m. See you.
Okay.
Much love, all.
Thank you.
Thank you all.
Thank you.
You're listening to Kate of Gaia on Critical Mass Radio. The game is up. Now, it's our turn. You're listening to Santos Bonacci live on Syncretism. Here on criticalmassradio.co.uk. As above and so below is the holy science you need to know. Astrotheology. Because now, it's our turn.
Good evening. Welcome to Outside the Box here on criticalmassradio.co.uk, and also welcome to Syncretism, as it has been coinciding with everything. It only is fitting. And also, welcome to the last show of the Anno Domini calendar year of 2013 as we enter a happy new reality. Right, let's get off the year thing and just start living this real-IT, you know, the royalty, right? There you go. So happy new reality, Santo. I know you've already crossed that threshold, and onwards and upwards. So here's proof that time doesn't exist. What year is it with you?
Supposedly 2014 anal domination.
Yeah, and it's 2013 domination here. So what year is it? Well, we can't really be sure, right? So not much. There's a full 24 hours away from the now. talk about being lost in time, huh?
Yeah.
So it's just this is a good way to show people the realities of what time really is, and does it exist? No, it's a construct of the mind. It is something that has been placed there. Now that's on the bad side of things to get you out of the now, but on the good side, because everything has to have good, it also gives us a gauge, and a very accurate one, as to our astrology signs and our game plan. So good and evil all in one. So yeah, I'm kind of not really sure where I want to go tonight. I wanted to revisit the whole idea of betrayal as it was laid out with the Judas story, because I think it's very, very pertinent, and a couple of new little epiphanies regarding that whole thing. So I think we'll go off in that direction with me anyway. So what's on your mind?
Yeah, look, I've got plenty of ideas of how how we can really make politicians, lawyers, and such like things obsolete in the minds of our brothers who still haven't got it yet. That's all I'm concerned with, because we've got it. There's no doubt about that. There's no other element of freedom that you need once you know who you are, and that's what we're teaching on this platform. Everybody that comes here, really, all the great
experienced in my own crucifixion, and also the betrayals that I'm responsible for as well, over the span of my life. And one of the things that I came to terms with, and it was quite a beautiful moment, was those. And it goes back to a presentation that Bill Donahue did when he was talking about Judas betraying Jesus in the allegory. And he chose Judas because Judas was the only one he could trust to do this. So isn't it funny that and we know what the Judas is. The Judas is both the greatest good and the perceived greatest evil, right? The betrayer. But let's have a look at it from a mirror perspective. Because Jesus trusted this guy so much, he was the only one he could trust to betray him. And this is not an easy concept to get across. I'm going to do my best because I think when people ponder this long enough, they'll get it, and it's quite a revelation. The ones that we trust the most are always, it seems, to be the ones that betray us the most. Let's have a look at our system. The now defunct politicians and police and judges and lawyers, all the ones that we were raised to trust as looking out for our better interests, are the ones that have betrayed us the most for their own self-serving greeds. And in that process, it woke us up, and it made us more aware of our own fallibilities, our own pitfalls. So in the process of uncovering the betrayals that we experience from others, we get to forge ourselves in those fires, So, sorry, I get a beep going off here, and it's totally derailing me. But anyway, it's not an easy concept to get across. But with me, I look at the ones that have betrayed me the most, and they are all the ones, and I'm talking family, friends, relatives, you name it. The ones that I trust most had to be the ones to betray me the most to give me the perspective that I have now. So how can I not have anything but gratitude in that regard? And this also, in the mirror, alleviates the concept of guilt in terms of those that I and others, you, everybody, that we have betrayed that trust with. And we've all done it. Let he who has not sinned cast the first stone. So the thing with me is I like to cast them at myself first, just to make sure that I've got a new perspective on it. There's no judgment. And the things that I speak of are the things that I have experienced. And if I ever sound like I'm being derogatory, it's only because I was there. I have the perspective of being that idiot at one point. So this is my way of measuring how far up the ladder I've climbed and how much I still have to climb. So, and it's an ongoing journey that we have here too. And I've said this before. That
speakers that we have, we're so lucky, we're so blessed here. This is absolutely the best table. And but we've got it. But somehow you still see things like I don't know who the politicians it was someone that's close to Hillary Clinton, I think. But anyway, they're trying to shove this this other fiction of the Obamacare thing down people's throats, and if you don't pay, you're going to jail, because we're all trying to, pitch in here, and we're not trying to, escape our responsibilities, so we all must have our cover. All of this is fictional bullshit, but you see, these idiots have actually got the attention of other idiots. And that's what Santos Bonacci is here for now. I'm referring to myself in the third person because, I want to give the knowledge forms that we are creating much, much more credit than what we, probably haven't given it yet. But we are creating the new paradigm. Just what gets me... because I get irritated, that's my weakness over here, thank you very much, is the fact that there are still idiots that have got the attention of other idiots. And it's because of these idiots, politicians and people who listen to them because they don't understand that they are obsolete. Politicians are obsolete. These are agents of patriarchy running along the corridors of the roads to further bloodshed for Rome as much as possible. Anyone who dons a uniform, that's it. You are already, by association, you're a criminal. That's evidence. These should be filmed and posted on Facebook pages showing postmen coming to the door, criminals. It's ignorance, yes, but they're doing something that is fraudulent. Policemen, uniforms, all they're doing is they're perpetrating and perpetuating the Inquisition. When I was in Holland, in Amsterdam, I went to the Inquisition Museum. That was interesting because as, I did my studies, as you know.
Yeah, maybe one.
And I learnt about the Inquisition, especially from the Jehovah's Witness point of view. You see, they'll clearly tell you that the Catholic Church are condemned in God's sight because they're evil and pedophilia and Inquisitions and Crusades. Oh, yeah, Jehovah's Witnesses condemn them perfectly. Oh, yeah, I mean, I haven't changed my spiel. I have been preaching this condemnation of the Vatican and the Catholic Church all through my teenage years, right up till today, the 1st of January 2014 over here in Australia. And I haven't changed my tune because they're all the little whore Protestant corporate churches, they're all telling you that the mother whore is a whore. And they, by association, going along with this game of people trafficking, belong to the whole system. So, that's what I'm here for, Kate. I'm just cooking up ways to make them obsolete in the minds of, our slower brothers, put it that way.
Yeah, and it gets right back to the full circle of betrayal. And one of the ironic parts of the betrayal is, I was hanging out with Sheila and Arthur and Angus and Ron, with Mike as well, last night. And, we conveyed a lot of different little stories together. And one of the things that stood out was one that was shared where a certain OPP officer had, effectively said, well, they know that there's things that aren't quite right, but, I've got a family to feed and I still have a job to do. And on the compassionate side, absolutely, I get it. On the really compassionate side, I hand it right back to them because, by their actions, they're harming not only the people that they're harming, but they're harming themselves spiritually. It's a spiritual suicide, and more importantly, their own family. And what they fail to realize is that by following their masters, and they all have masters. If you wear a uniform, you have a master. You get a corporate paycheck. They are actually doing it to themselves and their own family. So it's kind of oxymoronic. And I do like to remind all uniforms that are listening, and I know there's guys tuned in here and girls, whatever, that work for various alphabet gangs. I just want to remind you that your uniform and your mission that you're doing is you're betraying yourself, your family, and the rest of humanity. These are crimes against humanity, and the Nuremberg principles. You may want to read through those because the same excuse was used by many thousands that were hanged, some by piano wire and some by a little more gentle means of rope, because they were just following orders, just doing their job. That's not an excuse. If anything, that is all the more reason why they had to go through what they had to go through as far as paying for the crimes. If you're not part of the solution, you are the problem. You're not part of the problem, you are the problem. You see, because a solution, as soon as a problem appears, so does the solution. You have to choose which one you want to be, and it is that black and white. There is no gray area on this one. And one of the things that hit me today, you know me, I like to put things completely in the mirror, and I look back at all the the betrayals that I have. The instant you think you've won, you've lost, because this is not a competition. This is a journey, and the instant you think you are free is the instant you are a slave. This is really an issue of constant vigilance, a constant willingness to pay attention to what's going on around you, and it's constant growth. When we're dealing in an infinite universe, how can anyone even think of claiming to have won something? You might have achieved something to get to a new level, but really the illusion of win and lose is lost in that. So it's more an issue of having a look at the degrees at which I climb, and as I observe others climbing on their ladders, to get to that higher level of consciousness. Just my thoughts on it. Yeah, well, look, clearly the system, the Babylonian system, Baba, Papa, papacy system, which is all hierarchy. What it does is it makes use of the left, the sinister hemisphere of the cerebrum, because that's where you can name people. Names are in the left, right? That's why their sinners are sinners, because they go around with this name, well, I'm a person now. Oh, boy, I'm important. I've got a mister in front of my name now, and I've got a title. Titles were granted by, well, Babylon. That's where titles come from. Anyone who wants a title, Sir Cliff Richard, that means nothing. He's just a pedophile, right? We busted that one. But the right brain is where you are. That's Aries. I am. So you can never ever take that away from you. So hence our two natures are very, very evident in the two hemispheres of the brain, the man left brain and the God right brain. And we go around as a man and as a God. And sometimes we're arguing and reasoning in the left brain as a man. Oh, I'm this man. I've got a name. Yes, Santos Bonacci. I'm going to court. I'm going to defend that man's ass. And so we are being punished for this. This is sinning. This means staying in the left, having names, all this bullshit, calendars. You mentioned the calendar at the start. Yeah, it is just ridiculous that I'm in 2014 and you're still in 2013, right? Because of GMT. So what shows you is, see, time is a construct, or the calendar is a construct that takes us out of the right brain, because in the right hemisphere we know it's just now. There's no such thing as I'm in 214 and you're in 213. This is something that has been indoctrinated in us. That's education. It's in the left brain. And so the masters of the left brain are orchestrating the left brain